Welcome to From the South. We begin in Chile, where President Michelle Bachelet has said that her government will send a controversial bill to Congress on education reform. The bill currently does not have the support of state universities due to certain elements which they say lack clarity. Since 2011, students and teachers have been demanding free education for the nation's citizens. One of Bolivia's biggest social groups, Barolinas Sisas, met today to ask President Evo Morales to consider calling another referendum on abolishing presidential term limits. The group presented the findings of a year-long survey on the views of rural communities. They're calling for more government efforts to help find work for the unemployed, especially in rural areas. President Morales recently said he has no interest in calling another referendum, but is mindful of calls for a new vote from sections within his ruling MAS party. The government narrowly lost February's referendum, which would have allowed Morales to run again in 2019. Colombia's LGBTIQ community celebrated Gay Pride in the capital on Sunday. Participants carried banners against sexual discrimination and in support of the recently finalized ceasefire between the government and the FARC. Members of Brazil's police service have staged a protest at Rio de Janeiro's main airport. Demonstrators spoke of what they refer to as the grim realities in the city, stressing that the priority of security for the Olympic Games is not one employed for citizens throughout the year. We are here to show the reality of Brazil to citizens and tourists coming from abroad. They are being fooled just like we're being fooled. You must understand that we do not have public security. During the next 30 days, Rio will be secured by the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, which are not prepared to ensure public safety. These forces are there for war, not to take care of the population. The risk is even worse.
Today was the first full day without electricity rationing or blackouts here in Venezuela. Now, it was back in April that electricity authorities rolled out a series of measures. They were aimed at addressing the situation at the Guri Dam in the southeastern Bolivia state. Now, that hydroelectric dam is responsible for producing up to 70% of the country's electricity. Venezuela is going through a drought, and those levels at the Guri Dam were extremely low. Part of the reason of that drought is the El Nino weather phenomenon. Now, we found out on Friday, President Nicolas Maduro said that the country had come within 6 days of a serious electricity collapse, but thanks to recent rains that have arrived here and the measures taken by authorities, that the situation has started to normalize. Also, public workers will be going back to work for the full 5 days a week. They had been working under reduced times as part of those measures. Cody Weddle, teleSur's, Caracas, Venezuela.
And thousands took to Twitter today to demand justice for BERTA CACERES on the 4-month anniversary of her killing. CACERES' organization COPINH called for the international action to demand that CACERES' killers be brought to justice. More than 200 Honduran activists have been killed since 2009. Now on to world news. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi has ordered changes to Baghdad's security measures. This comes after a deadly blast killed over 200 people in a commercial area in Baghdad. Measures include an end to using fake bomb detectors and stepping up intelligence efforts. Relatives of foreign hostages murdered in a Bangladeshi restaurant on Friday were in Dhaka to take their loved ones' bodies home. Authorities have made the first arrests over the killings. They've also stepped up a search for evidence and the possible masterminds behind the attack. 2 former Rwandan mayors are standing trial in France for their roles in the country's 1994 genocide. French prosecutors have called for life sentences for the accused persons. Octavien Ingezi and Tito Barahira are accused of orchestrating and taking part in the mass killing of Tutsi refugees and moderate Hutus who had sought shelter in a church in Kabarondo. Hundreds of demonstrators marched through the streets of Nairobi, Kenya to protest the murder of a lawyer who disappeared last week after challenging police in court. The body believed to be of Willie Kimani was found last Thursday. On Friday, an order for the arrest for 3 police officers was issued. Nigel Farage has resigned as head of the far-right UK Independence Party just 2 weeks after leading a successful campaign for Britain to leave the European Union. Farage said he had achieved his political ambition due to Brexit.
Several Palestinian legislators in the Gaza Strip have visited a prisoners' solidarity tent Monday morning. The protest is erected weekly by the relatives of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails outside the Red Cross headquarters in western Gaza City. Dozens of protesters held signs of their captive relatives and urged Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas and human rights institutions to act for the immediate release of their children. Ahmed Bahar, Speaker of Palestinian Legislative Council in the Gaza Strip, stressed that the international community and the Arab world must pay more attention to the issue of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli custody.
During the last days of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, and as Eid Day is approaching, we've come to draw the attention of the world, including international human rights organizations, the Arab League, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Palestinian and Arab leaders, and the leaders of the Palestinian factions, that our prisoners are suffering various diseases in the Israeli jails. They are subjected to repression and are deprived from medical treatment. In the name of our people, we hold officials and free people around the world responsible for the safety of our prisoners.
According to the Palestinian human rights group Al-Damir, 7,000 Palestinian political prisoners are being held in more than 20 prisons and detention centers across Israel. Of them, 750 are under administrative detention without a charge or trial, in addition to 700 sick prisoners, 7 lawmakers, 21 journalists, 70 women and girls, and 414 children. The prisoners experience cruel and inhumane detention conditions, including torture, solidarity confinement, and a lack of medical attention. Nuhara Zin, teleSur's TV, Gaza.
Thousands of Chileans gathered at Santiago National Stadium on Sunday to welcome their national football team. Chile became America's champions after they beat Argentina 4-2 during the Copa America Centenario final on June 26th. And that's all for From the South. More on these and other stories on our website, telesurtv.net/English.